Okay, my loves, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Not to put the recipe together though, but I forgot that I did not make any mayo. So I have to make some mayo. I am lucky that I bought a can of garbanzo beans, but I also bought, because I like to make my own, can you see that? Garbanzo beans. I like to make my own aquafaba. I love it. But I always buy a can because when I go to the grocery store, I be so thirsty to make some tuna that I don't want to have to wait for the beans to soak. Oh, excuse me. I don't want to have to wait for the beans to soak, and then I gotta boil them down. I don't want to do all that. So I always buy a can, and I buy a bag because I eat the can like probably that day because I be thirsty for this recipe, y'all. I be thirsty for it. So if you have a can of garbanzo beans, then you're like halfway through the process. But if you don't have a can of garbanzo beans and you need to make, but you have garbanzo beans like the raw kind, then you can definitely make the aquafaba. If you need that recipe, let me know. That's a different type of process, but I already have my aquafaba because I had my beans already. So you're gonna need 1/4 cup of aquafaba, right? And I'm just pouring it in here. I'll dip the camera down in a minute, okay? But we're about to make this once I start processing everything, right? Then you're gonna need 1/4 tablespoon of mustard seed, okay? Ground mustard seed. I buy mine whole. This is an old canister. I buy mine whole. You can see where I grounded some up and it wouldn't fit in the jar. I buy mine whole and I ground it up. You get more for your money that way. Listen, I learned a lot about bulk, especially bulk spices that I use on the daily, right? So when you're on a fixed income, and for those of you who are not, great, congratulations, but some of us are, and I've not been on a fixed income before, so I know both ways. But it's best if you buy your spices in bulk, especially if you're making your food. And I was about to say that in the first video, but I didn't continue. But the reason why I make them is because it's cost effective for me. When you're eating salads every day, it's very cost it's very expensive to buy your condiments like your salad dressings and things like that, right? So I learned how to make those things. So mayo is one of the first things that I learned how to make, y'all, and I absolutely love this recipe. Okay, so you're gonna need 1/4 cup of aquafaba. Then you're gonna need 1/4 teaspoon, not tablespoon, 1/4 teaspoon of ground mustard, right? Okay. Then you're gonna need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I use Himalayan salt, pink Himalayan salt. But you can use whatever salt you have. I don't know how, what is it? Because I have it. I don't know how sea salt, like the rock kind, I don't know how that works in it. So if you have that and you try it, let me know what it's like, okay? Then you're gonna need 1.5 teaspoons of vinegar. 1.5 teaspoon of vinegar. Okay. One. And if you don't have half, you can guesstimate it in there. Right? So there you go. If you don't have a half teaspoon, just guesstimate. Now, the one thing I will say, the next ingredient you will have to, and I am sweating. Let me open up a window, y'all. It's already one open, but I don't get no cross breeze right now. Whew. Let me see. See, I pick the time. All right. Okay. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Back like I never left. Back like I never left. Okay. The next ingredient is brown rice syrup. if you don't have brown rice syrup, you can actually use agave, but I would say use less agave because agave is not as thick as brown rice syrup, but you can substitute it, okay? What's that? And you're gonna use it. The recipe calls for like a teaspoon, up to 2 teaspoons, but I don't. I put like just 1 heaping teaspoon. Meaning I may let it spill over a little bit, or I may let it peak where it's about to fall over, but doesn't quite. Let me show you. Oh, some dipping on the side. Okay. See? That's what it do. But of course, it's so thick. It's really thick. And I love it. I've tried it. My first time making it, all I had was agave. And it came out good. It really did. But this you have to be careful with, because the more of the sweetener that you use, the less thickness it will have. It won't be so thick. It'll be a little bit runny or watery. Trust me. I've experienced it. Okay. And so next thing you do, have you a handheld mixer, right? Bam. And the way this is going to mix, I would suggest you use something deep and sturdy. And so I'm just going to give it a little twirl. Twirl. Okay? And then the next ingredient is the emulsifier, which is oil. I'm using sunflower oil. I've used canola oil. I've used canola and sunflower oil, the only 2 that I've used. I did try to use olive oil, but olive oil is not good when it's mixed. It leaves a bitter taste, and it wasn't good to me. So I would say the best is sunflower oil to me, though. And I've done it mixed when I've run out of sunflower oil and I had to mix it with canola, and it still tastes fine to me, okay? If you're a Hellmann's fan, this is really good. If you wanted more of a Hellmann's taste, you may have to add a little salt. I learned that by accident, not intentionally. But yeah, I like it the way the recipe calls for it. But yeah, okay. So what you do is you take your cup and you slowly pour it in intervals. Don't pour it all at one time. It's going to be difficult for it to emulsify, for it to get thick. So you pour it in a slow stream, right? I pour one a little bit at a time, and I give it a little mix, okay? Then I pour a little bit more at a time. Now, if you have a good mixer, you can continue to mix without stopping, but I know my mixer, and my mixer heats up. And when it heats up, it actually makes the mayonnaise liquidy. So I have to do mine in spurts. But if yours doesn't heat up and you have you a nice good one, then you don't have to do it in spurts, okay? That's just a little side note. But then, at least 4 times, that's what I do. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me show you. I can show you what I'm doing. Yeah. Okay. So I already mixed it. I mixed the concoction first before I started pouring my oil, so everything could be mixed into the Aquafaba. You see? I pour a little bit at a time. And mine is on the lowest possible setting for the speed. I'm going to go ahead and dump all that in there. And I'm going to take my time because I like for mine to be really, really, really thick. Okay? You can already see it forming, right? See how thick it's getting? Go ahead and tap it to get whatever's on the top, right? I'll do it a couple more times, even though I love the consistency. Oh my goodness. I have a little handy spatula here. I detach mine so it's easier for me to hold and I'm not balancing. Look how thick it is, y'all. Look how thick that is. Do y'all see that? I love this. I love this. Look how thick it is, right? And so then you transfer it to I'm gonna get all this off, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but so this is just the first recipes that I learned when I started my journey. And I've researched a lot of the recipes, and this is just the one that I can, not came up with, because it's pretty standard. It really is. I did a lot of Googling. Look how much is in there, y'all. Do y'all see that? So I get everything. We not wasting nothing. We not wasting nothing. Let's see. Look at that. And there you have your mayo. Now I can continue on with the recipe. But I'm going to take a break so I can transfer this to my mason jar. Okay? And before I put it in the tuna mix, I'm going to show y'all the end result, along with the onions for the end result. So now, bam! Let's put that right there. Look at that, y'all. Look how thick it is. All right, I'll be back again. Hold tight.